Hello and welcome to Answer the Call. So I'm laughing because this is our second take. I was on the wrong scene when we started this, but I want to talk about today's topic. There are two sides of the Star Citizen community. I think it has been overwhelmingly we're showing our two sides after the ship showdown with the Argo winning. We're seeing this side of the community that only cares about ship skins and all these things, and they're being really hateful towards people who are just having a little bit of fun for a competition that really just didn't matter. And with the introduction of looting in 3.15, I think this is a really big deal. It turns Star Citizen into a full loot PvP experience, and I think it's a little bit too hardcore for some members of this community. I think a lot of what the community has built itself off of up to this point has been community and friendship and friendliness and engagement in that way, imagination about what Star Citizen would be. But as the reality of what Star Citizen has always said it would be is starting to sink in for some people. But the other side of the community, I also think, is that EVE Online player that is looking for EVE Online next, EVE Online first person, whatever. And I think what we're starting to see is them maybe having a big impact on the game and players not wanting to commit to that type of gameplay. So I fall somewhere in the middle. I feel like there should be a place where I do not have to look over my shoulder and be afraid that I'm going to lose stuff at times. And then I also feel that there should be risk and reward in Star Citizen, and everybody should know what they're getting into. I think there should be safe places to relax, enjoy, do events, hang out with your friends, show off your cool stuff that you earned out in the world that was more risky, and that there's no risk of losing it at that point. But I do think that there should be places that you go where there is risk, but with risk, there's great reward. So, without further ado, I think I really want to hear from the Star Citizen community about what they think about this, about the two sides of the community, and how, if Star Citizen is going to be successful, they have to appease both. But the thing about those EVE Online, more hardcore PvP looting players, you're the minority. The majority needs to understand, in my opinion, that even though they're the majority, these people are what keep the game ticking and what keep the game interesting. So without further ado, we're going to get to Virgil. He's been waiting online for a long time. He is in Australia, so we got to him first. Virgil, welcome. How you doing? We will keep this short. We talked about that earlier as well.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
What's up, dude?
Ready to go?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay. Yo, so I'll start off first with, I think that like every MMO, like we should probably include the video that you watched before this in the description or something.
I will. So we watched a video called like why hardcore PvP MMOs fail, and Virgil was like losing his mind basically.
Yeah. And a lot of the reason why I was losing my mind is because like I don't think that really is an MMO out there that isn't like, you know, decades old that really fits that description outside of Rust. And I know Rust isn't like a full MMO or anything, but it's pretty close. And I think it does really well considering, you know, people get reduced to ash on that game. But I guess the point I wanted to make is like, you know, my background is 15 years playing like World of Warcraft, right? And I know that the entire routine of playing World of Warcraft, which is the MMO that he is describing, most people are looking and gravitating towards, and is also my prediction for New World, which is that when you build a game that is PvE centric and focused on it, it's up to the developers to keep you entertained. But when you make a PvP game, in my opinion, if the game development is good enough, then it's recyclable, meaning people can keep playing. And that's why like EVE Online, yeah, it's like this cutthroat game, but it's like literally 20 years old, and still kicking, and you know, and still referenced to this day. So I think that when you make a game, you choose, and I think this is where like Activision is with Blizzard. This is where New World is going to be. I'd be putting my bets on, is that people hop into the game, just like I have with every WoW expansion to date, and you could probably relate to this, Mike. Is you play the first 2 months, 3 months, you've milked the content, and then you log off. And Asmon does this. Everyone does this. They log off after 2 months because they've played it all out, and they're waiting for the next breadcrumbs of content from the developers with the next patch. And that's my prediction for New World. It's like, yeah, it didn't go to this cutthroat PvP MMO, which was their original vision. But I think that as soon as this thing releases, I think we're going to be counting down the days until people run out of content. Now, I'm not saying you can't fit both into the game. I just think that, and I think that there's more money into accommodating for the the PvE players, but I don't think there's as much longevity. And that's why, like, I would predict that New World's going to drop off like crazy, just like every WoW expansion does, stuff like that. But I don't want to talk about other MMOs too much, but that's just in relation to that video.
Yeah, let's talk about it in the context of Star Citizen, though. You have an incredible skill ceiling that is, someone like myself who's played forever has yet to even crack through the first glass ceiling of skill.
Yep.
And given that, how is PvP supposed to carry? Like you did say, if the developers are good, right? And a lot of what the issues that Star Citizen has is we have yet to see or have proven, not that the developers are good or bad, it's that the direction is going to work in the long term if this game is even somewhat reliant on PvP keeping it going. I think Star Citizen has a lot of things that the attempt is to keep it going with dynamic economy, blah, 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 blah. But yes, I absolutely agree with you that New World is going to be a game that you're going to put down in very quickly because it just could get boring because there's not a lot of that PvE content, and I don't think that they're going to be able to develop it that quickly. Why is Star Citizen going to be different?
Yeah, and I think Star Citizen is like moving in the right direction, which is and in regards to this like whole debate, for the record, I sit on the Eve side of this.
Yeah.
And I think Eve gets a really bad reputation as being like this really cutthroat game, but whether people that play Star Citizen like it or not, that's exactly the direction we're going. But it's a good thing, and hear me out, is because if you want to PvE in EVE Online, you don't have to go anywhere near PvP. PvE players are so protected by really good mechanics that defend them, really severe consequences for players who gank them in high security systems, and it's a third of the game. Like, the amount of space that players get in high sec, Mike, you were talking off this podcast, sorry, about, like maybe 3 systems being, of the highest security. In EVE Online, it's a lot more than 3. You'd almost measure it like a third of the game is protected by this really strict security.
Sure, but in those systems, you could be ganked. When I say, okay, so like off the podcast, I would like to bring this up. I do feel that I think Terra is the perfect example of a system in Star Citizen that I should never be at risk. If I want to show off my coolest ship with the coolest skin, with my coolest weapons, with my coolest armor, and my coolest monocle, I can. And I should never, ever, ever be at risk. There should be some systems for that, because we have to understand that there are 2 sides of this community, and the most important thing to one side of the community is to never be at risk. But the big thing is that they almost appear to not have much interest in gamified elements or grinding or making money or being a part of this economy. From what I gather, they are more interested in that second life experience, making friends, those kind of things. There has to be places. Going to the bar
and stuff.
Going to the bar, exactly, right?
Yep.
Those kind of things need to exist without you, not you in particular, but anybody being able to like really troll them. Like, can I turn voice off? Yes, I can mute people, blah, 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 blah. You know, obviously, like, the level of troll that can happen is, like, standing in front of you or being annoying or whatever, right? But in general, there has to be places for those parts of the community because they exist and they're not small. So CIG has to recognize that and go, well, yeah, here's the Million Mile High Club, like things like that. They gave them those things, but they also have to recognize if they give them too much, you end up with the Argo Cargo competition drama. Because they've been giving them too much. There's a concierge forum. There's this. There's that. You spent a bunch of money. Here's your separate space where you can be in your echo chamber and talk shit about people like Virgil, right? And that's not okay either. So, yeah, continue. I'm sorry.
No, you're right. I 100% agree. That's what's surprising about this, right? Is like, I know I come across as like someone that wouldn't agree with that. And some of the comments I'll put in your chat are just trying to polarize that. That's all, and just show you what it's like on the other game. But to be completely honest, and I think this surprises people, and is going to surprise a lot of people in the chat, is like I've got no issues with it, to be honest. Like, I can't, if I'm to be completely honest about every PvPer that I know, and I like to think I have got a really good finger on the pulse when it comes to the PvPers in this game. I can't think of anyone that would rather, and I'm talking about rather, be PvPing against people that are uninterested in PvP rather than versing people that are interested in PvP. If we had the choice, I would imagine 99% of the people that are PvPing right now would be wanting to actually verse other people interested in the loop. And I think the game's going to sort that out for us. Like, and I wouldn't mind if high sec had a slider, like, or it was just impossible. Do I think there's like 1% of scenarios that could make the game interesting? Like if there was a siege on Terra organized by all the PvP orgs or something, yeah, that could maybe be cool. But that's like my only defense for it. I'm not really stressed if those players get their loops either. And I think they should. I think they should get their cut of the game. And the PvP part of it should be for the willing. And there's ways to like encourage that together, right? Like we've spoken, and we don't know if this is confirmed coming or not either. You know, Chris has alluded to it, but like, you know, factories and, you know, crafting and stuff like that, where the PvPers need the PvEs. But
that was a great dynamic in Ultima Online when I played that.
Yeah, it's like a whole ecosystem. And
I
that's
joined
the
a
problem
PvP org because they needed me as a PvEer. They needed me to do the dungeons that they were waiting for people to raid, basically.
Yeah, like refineries, all that jazz. Yeah, and we don't know like what the future of that's gonna look like. You know, we don't know if they plan to make it, you know, like a players a part of the ecosystem where we need each other, and you know, we don't know where that's heading. And you know, I think Chris has only alluded to it, but to the whole point of this entire podcast is like, I think there's room for both, and you know, there's ways to soften how hardcore this, you know, death of a spaceman's gonna be. Whether that's, you know, like insurance, which we talked about in Tarkov just before the show, which is like, you know, maybe if a player doesn't loot your corpse, then, you know, you can get it back with an insurance claim or something like that. Like there's going to be a middle ground for the PvE players that aren't interested in the PvP, I'd imagine, that, you know, they're going to be happy with where it's at. And it's not going to be as big an issue. I just think that, you know, CIG really hasn't come out and said, you know, this is how the PvE players are going to be protected yet in future systems. Like they've hinted and alluded to it.
They don't know.
But they haven't really got into details. Yeah.
I think they have an idea
just
in
mentioned,
their
like,
mind.
Terra is going to be high security, but we don't know, like, what does high security mean, right?
Exactly.
Like,
and I think
how high is high.
Yeah, that's part of the problem with the conversation, right? Is we're in this situation where CIG is afraid to commit to anything because they know full well that once they go in and start implementing it, things are going to change, and they don't want to hear us complain. Which does make it difficult on their end. But yeah, I just think that both sides of the community need to exist, and they need to exist off of each other's back. Like they need to need each other. is the most important thing for me. And that's what I think, like, the risk versus reward thing is. You need to pull players out of their comfort zone into PvP for good reason, and for them to know the risk. They know what they're getting into, and they know they might die, so they only risk what they're willing to risk, and it's literally like, you know, you don't have to sign up for it, but you know what you're signing up for. If you go to Pyro, maybe there's going to be, you know, now with the reputation coming in, blah, 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 you know, we can go full Imagine and just go, you know, this is where you do a bunch of missions in Pyro, you get some really cool, rare thing. It's not easy to get. There you go. I mean, I always lean towards that side of the thing because that's what motivates me. The only time I've been pulled out of my, you know, mining loop of just mining all day and just sitting around talking shit about Star Citizen is when the Vandal Mask came in and you and I went nuts. You know, it was a hell of a lot of fun.
You killed all those poor prospectors.
Yes.
Yeah.
Most of them were Gladius, but come on, maybe half.
That was a really fun stream, by the way.
It was.
But yeah, like I think that and the thing is too is like you can use PvP as to clean up your own mess, right? Like if the PvP players need PvE players, for example, like you need to make use of their logistics, their mining, their minerals or whatever, then you can, like, the PvE players can actually use the PvP players to, you know, do their loops in peace, you know, like, and stuff like that when it comes to, you know, security or something like that. And that's where like Eve handles it really well. And the problem is the economy's gonna be different with what Tony Z wants in comparison to what Eve is, which is purely player driven. But yeah, there's ways to clean up the mess in this regard. But like I think CIG is just gonna go in this direction where, you know, the PvE players are gonna have their systems, and the PvP players are gonna have theirs, and I don't think anyone's really gonna be worried about it. Like there'll be enough content, you know, between sieging each other's stations and, you know, attacking each other's bases. I know that we haven't confirmed there yet or anything, but yeah, but there's gonna be enough content in the PvP systems to keep people satisfied.
Yeah.
And I think it's gonna be the same with the PvE. I think that, like, you know, the oddballs where it's like you see the random PvE players wishing that, you know, there was a PvE version of the server and then that had no PvP in it and stuff like that. I think that's completely silly. Yeah. But I think that CIG can cut it up enough to provide it for both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so. I think like the video that we watched before, that again will be linked in the description, talked about what would make an MMO, and what does make MMOs great is community. And if you create scenarios where, like you said, a PvP org requires a lot of minerals or fuel or whatever, that they just don't have time or the desire to take part in those gameplay loops, then you're creating communities with players who have no interest in PvPing, being part of like maybe the most dominating PvP org in the game or whatever, right? Even though they have nothing, and that's the type of community that these situations could create. But Virgil, we've been going for actually almost 20. Yeah, well, I guess 15. 15 minutes on the nose.
No, I think we did good. I think that's it. I don't have anything else, so that was perfect. Good stuff. Yeah.
I want to try to keep the calls around 15, so trying to keep an eye on it. But yeah, Virgil, thank you so much. And
no worries.
Yeah, I think every time you come on, you show that you're not the necessarily what people think you are. I think we talked a lot about the before the show was that Virgil and his friends tend to give the vibes off that their whole existence is to make you quit the game. And I don't think many players in my experience that I've interacted with have any desire for that to happen. I think the goal is to try and make CIG notice that we need to coexist.
To be honest, I don't think I really can't think of any PvP org or even player that fits that description. I think people assume that a lot. But I think that PvP players would prefer to be fighting PvP players, and I really can't think of anyone that fits that description. But you know,
I can think of one, but that's it. But I won't name. We'll talk later.
All right. GG's, dude. This was good.
Later, Virgil.
Bye.
Bye. All right. So our next caller is Michael Krockenoff. I think I spelled his name right in the thing. What's up, Mike?
Hey, mate. How are you?
I'm well. Wait, so you don't live in Australia?
No, I do live in Australia. I was just being sarcastic, but text doesn't really.
Gotcha. Yeah. So, yeah, two sides of the Star Citizen community. Which one do you fall
on? Well, I wouldn't really consider myself a PvP Andy like Virgil. And I'm not, I guess, really interested in the super casual yacht club folks. So I guess I'm sort of like you in the middle.
Let's try and not specifically name people and shame them for for what they're interested in, if you don't mind.
Yeah, no, that's all good. But I guess the best thing to do is probably to look at when CRG actively talked about this, which was unfortunately a year ago, almost a year and a half ago, back in June of last year, where they did a calling all devs, which was with Todd Pappy, Richard Tyre, and Theaters of War guy, whose name I forgot. And pretty much in that, they said, yeah, they want to have set PvE areas. There will be PvP sliders, but that's not going to be player facing like they originally said. Because if you look back in Chris's original how PvP will work, they were going to have PvP sliders. One of the main comments of that whole video was, if I am in Terra, I should feel pretty safe. Pyro, looking over your shoulder, but you don't have 100% safety guarantee. They don't want 100% PvP guarantees, but they don't want a 0% PvP.
Can I jump in and kind of clarify the slider statement a little bit?
Yeah.
So for anybody that's like new to Star Citizen and would take what you said as to an actual PvP slider, what they expressed there was, I think their goal for Star Citizen is that the mission system will guide your content and guide you in the direction that you're going to play in. But if it doesn't protect you from PvP. So the types of missions and the types of places that you will be sent based off of the mission system, if you don't take any PvP type missions, there'll be like some sort of like little algorithm in the background that'll go, yeah, this guy doesn't play PvP, so we're not going to offer him many PvP missions, but we're going to offer him more delivery missions or mining missions or whatever, right? And that's what they meant by a slider, where a PKer, a stream sniper, a whoever can come in and go, yeah, I'm going to kill Mike, and Mike's not defended from me at all. And that is possible. So just keep that in mind with what Michael said. So go ahead, buddy. Sorry.
Yeah, of course. So going back to pretty much Todd Pappy was the only one that really talked about the whole PvP situation. So they want to specifically have hotspot PvP zones for PvPers to go to. If you don't want to, don't go there. But obviously, higher risk versus reward. Yep, Jumptown 2 is an example. Going to Terra, which is probably your favorite go-to as a lawful zone, that don't want that to be 100% protected, will be highly discouraged, extremely difficult, and I think one of the key words is you really got to work for it if you want to do PvP in the area. So how they're going to make that work, don't know. But Todd, his main statement was he always wants there to be some kind of tension, might be low tension, but there needs to always be something to make you feel like something could potentially happen. You got to plan for it.
I just don't understand why there needs to be tension in Terra. Like it doesn't make any sense to me. Like it's literally a utopia. What the whole point is there's zero tension, and you just chill.
Course. Yeah,
I don't get it.
But a lot of, I think, we got to remember that there is going to be a 9-to-1 NPC to player. So when we're all in the verse and we've all got, even with 5 systems and all the rest of it, the chances of you actually coming up against another player might be quite low comparison to just coming up against AI as well.
Sure.
So unless you specifically go out of your way to harass people to force PvP or go to these PvP hotspots, I don't think you're going to have a lot of luck forcing people into PvP.
Now, can I ask you a question? And I think this is a very key point that is not part of Star Citizen yet, and really needs to be a focus in the coming future with the direction that the game is going in now. What is the reward? Because right now, I think we all know that looking at the game and saying, well, I have 5 million credits and I have everything I want. What's the reward? In order for the game to have longevity, like for going to a jump town, like right now, these guys really think the reward is money. And what it could be, but what do we spend our money on? Or like what is the reward? What is going to drive this? Like somebody in chat just said territory control. What about the territory drives the need for control? Like there's so many factors that have not even been expressed, communicated, like really dove into. And I think that, again, is why there's two sides to this community. Some people look at Star Citizen as it is this thing. Others look at it as it's that thing. And others look at it as, there's all these different views of what the game should be. For you, what drives going to a jump town? What would do it?
Personally, well, I've always preferred, like, if I'm in that sort of combat situation, I'd prefer to take the stealth approach. So I wouldn't go out of my way to do PvP, because I'm honestly just not interested at this point in time in the game. Maybe in the future, just because of performance issues.
Okay.
So there'd have to be some kind of rare item for me to want to bother getting off my ass to get over there. But until they can make, rarity items, specialized ammo, unique attachments, unique weapons, we're not going to see that kind of stuff. But as far as like one thing for PvP, people who, want to be the bad guys are going to have to be dealing with PvP bounty hunters. And those two groups will have their own niche PvP system that they want to work on. And part of being a bounty hunter will be that you get the reward for taking out that person, bringing them in. You'll get all their gear, their loot, components from their ships if you blow them up. And going back to that video, they do go over, hey, when physicalized inventory comes in, with this, and this come in, these are some of the rewards you're going to get for doing PvP. And they also said that if you do PvP, you're potentially going to have, greater rewards than if you were doing PvE, because you're going to be able to, because players normally will have better equipment than NPCs.
Okay.
It's just a fact of life.
I normally don't do this, but this comment is super, super good. It's from Zeus and Oxy in chat. As a non-PvPer, there is not a goal. It's just existing in that universe, doing random shit, like Euro Truck Simulator. There's no goal per se. You're just trucking. Yeah,
and I 100% agree with that. There should be something for every... This game is trying to be something for everyone.
Yeah.
And I don't agree with... I 100% agree with you that there should be safe zones where you can just hang out, chill out, don't have to worry about Virgil and his group coming and ruining your day. Because, a bunch of... I'm not saying it's his group specifically, but a lot of PvPers
Virgil's
just want
our
to curb
example,
stomp noobs
usually,
and...
though.
Yeah. Virgil just wants to go out, curb stomp some noobs and feel like he's got the biggest EP in the galaxy. And what happens is those noobs go, oh, well, I don't want to play this game anymore. And then we lose backers, we lose citizens, and then the game starts petering off. So they can't... PvP will never be the focus of this game. Because it's just not... It's not... They've never focused on PvP. They never will focus on PvP. It always is going to be a super, super subset of this game.
Okay, now let's dive into that before you continue. Like I said at the beginning of the show, and we talked about with Virgil a little bit, 315 is a full loot game. Wherever you go, you're at risk of losing everything.
Yeah.
How is PvP not going... it's not the main focus, but... How is it not the main focus when you're always at risk in that case? right? This is a
Yes, but
this is like a really weird situation. We're in this like middle ground situation now with the game. How does that work if it's not the main focus?
well, the thing is, it just goes back to what Chris wants. And like I said, the chances of you getting killed by another player once we have Quanta and everything and all that online. I know we want to talk about sort of 315, and yes, 50 players, one server. Even then, your chances of encountering a PvP situation are extremely low.
Yeah.
In the current game. In the future,
mine isn't, but my situation is unique, and I don't want to ever
yes.
use my situation as an example.
Exactly, and I can say in the past 9 months that I've played, unless I've gone out of my way to look for PvP, I think I can think of maybe three situations where I actually encountered PvP. And then if I didn't want to deal with it, then I just flew away and they couldn't catch me. So it was just there's a lot of it's just PvP's risk isn't that high if you want to avoid PvP. And people who want to PvP, they just want to kill you. They don't care about what you've got. They don't care about anything like that. They just want to kill people.
Well, it's easy to not care about what you have if you can't loot their ship, you couldn't loot their bodies, and even if you could, there was nothing of value on them anyway, which I think is going to be the struggle for 315. But I think
exactly
like where I really want to bring our conversation in and kind of start to close it, I guess, is the idea of I kind of lost my train of thought, but let me try and regain it here. What were you talking about last? I'm sorry. What was like your last sentence? Because that's what triggered my thought.
PvPers, they don't care about what you've got, what you have. At least as far most like when I think of like PvPers that like mainly care about PvP, I'm thinking of like Moist and his kind of group. They don't care about what you've got, what you're wearing, what your ship is. They
it's
just want to
experience
skill on skill. Exactly. And there needs to be that kind of stuff in the verse, and when we get to that point, there will be PvP hotspots specifically for that. So Moist and his group can go up against Moist 2.0 and his group. But at the moment, it's just they've got to sit on their hands going, well, CRG won't give us anything, so I've got to try and force people to do PvP with me. And unfortunately, 95% of the player base aren't interested.
I remember what I was going to say. So I think one of the other really big issues with the scenario is they chose Stanton as the first system they were going to develop, not from a PvP versus non-PvP scenario. They chose that system because it had 4 planets, it had a gas giant, it was all visual, and I think that they were hoping from a lore standpoint that they can build out the game in that way as well. But what it turns out from the lore standpoint is that it is not exactly your highest security system. And
it's a low sec system because it's not the UEE itself doesn't protect it. It's up to the companies to protect it as far as lore is concerned.
Yeah, so even though UEE comes in with Xenothreat, it's a little bit weird. But in the end, it is not what you would if you were a player who did not want to engage in PvP. This would not be a system you would spend a lot of your time in, and this is the only system we have. So I think a lot of the time, I think a PvPer thinks that their side of the community is being ignored, but in reality, I think the player who just wants to chill is unfortunately in a system where they not always can. But I do agree with you that if you want to avoid PvP, it is quite easy, but you still always have that looking over your shoulder moment, which I don't think that type of player should have to deal with.
Yeah, exactly. And we will eventually get to the point where they can make systems, and unfortunately, there are higher security areas within the standard system, but with server performance and everything else, we're just not going to be able to see it.
The defenses that they put in place don't work.
And they don't work. And because the server just can't keep up, it can't track players. and those players are desyncing from the server, and it doesn't work. So,
Yep.
they're going to be upgrading station defenses in the future. We don't know when that's going to happen, but it will happen. So it's just going to be a case of we're just going to have to sit on our hands and wait. But as far as me for 315, I'm just going to roll around in an undersuit and a helmet and a pistol, and yeah, that's about it really. Because there's no point taking anything out. I don't need to take anything out with me. And I guess it'll just be another grind fest of go have a look around, see what's new, see what's in boxes, and then come back.
Come back for the next patch. Yep.
Yep.
All right, Mike. Well, I think this is probably a good place to end it. Is there anything else you want to add before I do, though?
No, not really. I guess it's just a case of, I think, from both sides of the community, there's just been a lot of toxicity, especially around the Argo versus Carrick situation. I think just from both sides of the community, I was on the Argo side because I did find it a bit amusing, but I also wanted to give CIG a bit of the middle finger, because I'm just kind of tired of the way they've been rigging that competition. I think a lot of people need to take a step back and go, hang on, is what I'm doing a good representation of our community?
Yeah.
Because a lot of streamers that supported it got attacked quite badly, to the point where it's like clearly unacceptable what they were doing.
I heard Xylo got hate DMs on Twitter. Like
Astropub got some pretty toxic stuff said to him as well.
Yeah.
And it wasn't anything to do with, it was like personal attacks, which is not acceptable. So I think we as a community need to start calling out that kind of stuff, because if we want people to come and play with us and expand this game and grow it and get more backers in, we need to be having a good, welcoming atmosphere to new players. And showing toxicity like this is not acceptable.
And if CIG drops a random Carrick skin for no reason to appease, they are 100% supporting that toxic behavior. They better not drop a skin for the Carrick.
Well,
for
there's
some time.
3 skins coming for the Carrick in next month, because that's going to be the sub flare. It's either next month or the month after.
Well, that was already planned then, so that's not really an issue for me. But if they dropped one like for the event, I would have a major problem with it, because I think it supports that toxicity and is an absolute joke. But all right, Mike, we'll let you go. We'll bring on our next caller. Yep.
Keep up the good work.
Thanks, man. We'll talk to you soon.
Nice. Bye.
Bye. Our next caller is Jerry. Yo, what's up, Jerry? Jerry, can you hear me? Or are you dealing with the mic problem? Oh, damn it. I think we have a mic problem with Jerry. I can't hear you.
I am here.
He's
I am here. Sorry.
No good. No problem. Yeah, the other Jerry dropped out because I think the timeline.
Oh, god damn it. Yeah, I was like, I was cooking chicken, and then I heard you on my phone going, oh, it's Jerry, and I just sprinted to my PC, so sorry about that. Jesus.
No worries, no worries.
Woo!
I was like, a second I was putting you out and bringing Moist in. So, yeah, you were coming on for a specific reason. Again, I always reference this. Jerry used to work at CIG. He was a gameplay designer. Oh, are you turning your camera on? Hey, there he is. What's up, Jerry?
No.
Well, there he is anyway. At least he waved.
No. Yeah, so I used to work there. I was a live game designer, so I worked on the mission team.
There you go. He made the 890 jump mission, and he made the I always forget the name of the character of it.
Price of Freedom mission.
The Price of Freedom mission.
Price of Freedom. And I love how everyone calls it the 890 jump mission, but then calls the other one by its actual name. It's called Boarding Action in Progress. It's not called the 890 jump mission, but who cares? It's got an 890 jump in it, so it doesn't matter.
Did you name it?
No.
Then why do you care?
Narrative team named it. I don't know. I don't really care. It's not my problem. Not my problem anymore, mate.
So I wanted to touch on a specific subject, right?
Yeah, which is the safe zones.
Yes.
I am very anti-safe zones. I don't think there should be any armistice zones. I think you should always be at risk, and I think the risk should be mitigated, and I think the response to other people's negative actions should be increased. You know, it would be really cool to just be able to be like, you get out your chip at New Babbage and you walk through with an SMG and someone's shouting over VoIP, giving you grief, and you're just like, well, I'm going to shoot this person now. But at the same time, it should be ran through systemic AI, right? If you walk out of your Titan and you've got a rocket launcher on your back, the security AI should look at your character and be like, hang on a minute. This guy's got a rocket launcher on his back. We probably shouldn't let him in the airport until he takes his rocket launcher off and puts it in a ship. Like, do you want to be immersed in the world and have the freedom to do what you want, or do you want more rules? Like, and I get the people saying, oh, well, what about the new player experience? And we want to bring people in. You could do that through a FTUX, a first-time user experience, in a separate, isolated location. I feel like people forgot. I'm pretty sure it was already said. Isn't the point you're supposed to play Squadron first and then go in the PU?
Yes,
Like,
but
wasn't that the original
Jerry,
intent of the bundles?
Yeah, but the whole thing is how many people bought a single Star Citizen package and will never play Squadron 42 is a lot of people, probably.
Yeah, very true. But my point is, right, you could take an aspect of that and inject, you know, when you click in, oh, what do you want to play? PU, Star Marine, whatever the other thing is, Vandal Swarm. You can have another module on the front end that is like introduction, and you can't log into the PU until you've gone through the introduction module. The problem is there's no point doing that at the minute because the game's changing so much all the time. Yeah. You would have to modify that thing every other 3 months. But I don't think the excuse of, oh, you should always have a safe zone for new players is a viable excuse when, like, there's
I'm
other
not talking
things
about
that you
new
do.
players. I'm talking about things like the Daymar Rally. I'm talking about things like the 890 Jump Club meetups. Like,
yeah,
these people should be allowed
I don't like
to
this
enjoy
safe zone.
Okay, that's fine. But
why though?
Why? Because not everybody. Every single place in the game does not need to be the Wild West. I agree.
Right. Okay, I agree. But if you're in Stanton, right, and you're running the Daymar Rally, couldn't it quite as easily just be as soon as you do anything that is an illegal action, the Navy turns up like they should do, right? Or the police show up. The security is supposed to intensify. So you're supposed to have the security forces in this system. Where are the security forces?
Now, let me ask you a question then, because I think the issue here is what is considered an illegal action, and I will continue to use something like Terra as the example, not Stanton, because Stanton is not supposed to be a really high security system. But the example you give is perfect in an FPS scenario. But what about in a ship ramming?
I know exactly where you're going with this.
No, I'm not actually going ship ramming. I don't think there's anything you can really do about ship ramming. If somebody's going to be an idiot, they're going to be an idiot. And I don't really know, like, there's just some things you can't solve. And if there's going to be somebody targeting and harassing, then they should just get banned from the game, right? I'm talking about something like you're in the Terra system, but we don't have a system like Elite Dangerous does where you power on your weapons or you power them off. And you can in Star Citizen, and I think it's a direction that they could possibly go in, where it's very similar to taking the gun off of your back when you enter a landing zone.
Yeah,
well, if you go through the jump point, please turn off power down your weapons. You don't need to remove it. You just need to power them down. And if you power them up, that's an illegal action.
If you go to Terra and let's say whatever, we're theory crafting a whole bunch of crap here. Let's say you jump from Pyro to Terra and you've still got your weapons equipped on the ship, right? When you go out that jump point, you would expect there to be some security ships there to scan you because you're coming into Terra. Like, you wouldn't just appear into nowhere. But then let's assume that there isn't security ships there, right? You would just go to, let's say, Earth or whatever things in Terra. I don't know the whole lore. And when you get there, as soon as you're trying to land at a port, your ship would be scanned and they would be like, you can't land here unless you have your weapons locked. And then we've already got things like the reputation system. You can have a reputation thing set to say, right, if you have a good enough standing with the security forces in this system, you can have your weapons powered on, but you can still monitor specific actions, which can then reduce your standing with those or then give you a better crime stat. Like, I'm all for, if you go to Terra and you like try and walk through the spaceport with an SMG and kill everyone, you go to a prison in the Terra system where there is no escape route, there is no, I can just transfer my 50 million credits and get out in 5 seconds so there's no repercussions. Like, that's the type of system I would expect to have a serious repercussion in.
Absolutely.
And I think it should just be handled through game systems. I don't think there should be a point where oh, this is an area where you can't do this one thing you want to do. Like, the whole point of the game is you're supposed to be able to be the thing that you want to be. Well, if I can't be the bounty hunter that goes into a bar and just shoots people up, like, then why are we doing it?
Then in that case,
I want more freedom for players. I want more freedom for players. But I like freedom, me, brother.
All right, brother. Listen here, brother.
I'm all about that freedom, brother.
Yeah, I get it, but like, you do understand the perspective that I have, and I don't necessarily think that the perspective that I have is the that I'm taking is necessarily the one that I will live by. But the idea, and I do agree with you, you should be able to do what you want to do, but I just don't think, like, you have to look at your community as well and who you're building this game for.
But are you building the game for a specific community, or are they building it for CR's vision? They're building it for CR's vision, right? If he wants you to be able to shoot people wherever you want to do, that's the direction the game's going to go. I mentioned this in your chat yesterday, right? You can't just build a game specifically for what may be a vocal minority, right? Like,
well, I'm not saying you're building the game for that. I think you're just factoring them into the design of things. And I think
100%, but
yeah,
100%. There's no clear, easy way to resolve all the... You're always going to have people be pissed off. No one's ever going to be happy. People are always going to complain no matter what you do. So
absolutely. I like the solution of the punishments, but here's the problem that I take with it is, I've used the I know I said at the beginning we're not going to reference the Jump Club or whatever, but I think they're the perfect example of, like, they meet up in game, they're hanging out, they're chilling, they're relaxing, they're having a good time, having a few drinks, talking with their friends. If somebody just starts dive bombing them and, you know, their weapons are hot, the damage has already been done. So the punishment...
Well, let's use that example then, right?
Doesn't matter as
Where are
much.
Where are they doing this meetup, though? You've got a giant open bit of space. You telling me every PvP player knows where these 890 jumps are in the middle of space in a completely different system?
They're not going to be in the middle of space. They're going to be at a cool vista in Terra, which is where everybody knows.
So they've put themselves in that situation, so they should expect people to come and kill them.
No,
they have that onus. They have that onus that they will get attacked.
This is where I'll disagree for forever with you. Is the idea the idea of,
well, let's say they're not. Let's say they are.
It's not their fault for them wanting to enjoy the game, dude. It's not their fault for them wanting to enjoy the game.
Let's say they are at a nice vista. Let's say they are at a nice vista, right? Let's say they're on Daymar or something on a cliff. How do the PvP players know they're even holding an event? How do they know they're there? How do they know what server they're on?
Because they're
streaming it. Space is huge. Right, well, that's a different problem than the game then, isn't it? That's not a problem with the game. That's a problem with you.
That's why I don't want to use myself as an example. That's why I didn't want to use myself
exactly, right? Like, oh, stream sniping. Stream sniping isn't the game. If they go out their way and go,
okay,
hey, we're holding this event at this time,
like I get it, but like, are people not allowed to organize things and make community in your game that community is based in?
Yeah, they are, and I agree. And that's where the AI systems should come into play.
Yes.
If you have someone that's roaming around, right, and other than them bombarding ships, you're not going to get an easy solution out of this. There's always going to be griefers. There's always going to be people that want to piss people off.
I agree. Now, and I agree, it should be incredibly hard for them. But isn't there some scenarios where it should be next to impossible? Like, I'm talking about, you come through the jump point, you have to turn your weapons off. If you turn them on, even if you're in the middle of space, it is a highly... Each comrade is extremely protected, very difficult to take down, if even capable of being taken down. And then if you turn your weapons hot, it's like, boom, 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 the alarms go off, UEE jumps in, warns you, put them down. If you don't put them down, they're one-shotting you. So literally, it is impossible for a scenario where you can jump an 890 Jump Club meetup if they're doing it in the right place.
Yeah, I agree. Those situations. Yeah, that's what I want. I want the people to have the ability to try. Like you said, right? If you go to Daymar, I'm just using Daymar as an example, and there's the com array around it, and if you don't deactivate it, and you just have a weapon equipped on your ship. Sorry, Daymar's a bad example because it's in wherever, let's say a hypothetical planet at Terra, and you go there, and the 8-night jump club's there. As soon as you get in the atmosphere, it's like, dude, these guys have got weapons equipped on their ships, because you have to have them pre-equipped, right? You can't just show up. And then the only other alternative is to ram them. And at that point, it's like,
that's a ban.
You know what's going on there. You know what's going on there, right?
Yeah. If you ram in that scenario,
well,
you get banned.
I wouldn't say an instant ban. Like,
well, no, maybe for a month or a week or whatever. You're going to get punished outside of the game mechanics for that, because that instantly is harassment. It's obvious.
Yeah, I'm not all for calling for bans straight away. I think there should be, leeway. If you're consistently doing it, then fair enough. But
I don't know. I think the damage is already done at that point. And you're literally targeting somebody, so there should be some sort of punishment. Maybe they do get thrown in jail in the game forever. I mean, that's basically a ban anyway. Not forever. You know what I mean?
This is the thing, right? How many PvP players do you see in jail nowadays? 0.
Because they don't play the game.
No,
Jerry.
there's well, yeah, but you know what I mean. When they were playing the game, like, you don't see them in jail. They get out super quick. The merits are transferable. Like, there's still no real punishment at the minute. It seems. Like, when prison first came in, it was awesome, but like, it seems like they've found ways to circumvent that thing.
Yeah.
Let's give more harsh punishments. Just start with it in game, right? You can increment these things as well. Like, it doesn't have to be the immediate solution. The game is still an alpha, right? You can try out new things and see how they go first before you hit live.
It's true.
All of this is going to change over the next 2-3 years. All of this is completely going to change probably about 8 different times anyway. So probably none of what we might talk about now even matters, but it's interesting. So
it is.
That's why I came on.
Yeah, and I really do actually appreciate your perspective.
I agree there should be scenarios where it is near on impossible to cause chaos. But I like having that, like, people were saying, oh, you shouldn't always have to look over your shoulder. Even in life, you don't always need to look over your shoulder. But when you're walking under a bridge late at night, and even if there's no one there, you still like turning around and be like, something could happen.
I mean, I'm sorry, like somebody in the comment, like in the Twitch chat, just goes, "You're playing an MMO. If you don't like the risks that come with an MMO, then get out." Basically, that's like the shittiest attitude of all time. And literally,
I disagree with that.
Every MMO I've ever played has safe places. Every MMO has places where you can hang out in AFK. Like, you have to be able to do that. You have to be able to do that. Like, I'm sorry, it's just like an absolute shit take. But
I agree. There should be the places like Microtech Spaceport, right? I keep going back to the Spaceport as an example. If you're in the Spaceport, you've gone through like 3 lifts or whatever, and 8 tram lines, or whatever. You've got to the console where you spawn in your ship. If someone had the intent of killing you, they would have somehow needed to get out their ship with their gun, go through the security, get through all the elevators, and then found a way up there. Like, there should be systems that's like, oh, there's been an attack at the Hangar 1. We're locking down the systems and elevators until these people are dealt with by the AI, and then they have to fight their way through it to try and do something. Create these, what we always call immersive and diegetic experiences that the community really wants. You get more of those by giving them the freedom. But I do agree, you still kind of need to have those places where it is just like, I'm going to pull out, like you said, what's it called? The subscriber flare, and not have a risk of having it nabbed from your body. Yeah, I can see old chat posting Imagine. I get it. But, that's what we're doing today. We're imagining, right?
We are, but we aren't.
The security systems, the security systems aren't there yet because of the server tick rate and the way the AI functions. When we have the proper function AI, it's going to be very interesting to see how those security systems change over time and how they evolve based off players' actions. And that's the stuff I really want to see, because I think it's super interesting.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. When I've seen that security system work, it has been pretty punishing. So we'll have to see.
It can be brutal. It can be brutal. And that's all I've really got to say, to be honest. I've just rambled on for a bit. I'm sorry, I didn't really bring too much to the table.
I thought you brought a lot to the table. I thought you brought a lot to the table where I don't think anybody thought in any of our discussions or talks before about a prison in Terra would not have an escape route. A prison in Terra
no transferable merits, just
merits. Yeah. It would be
to screw you
actual
over.
prison.
Yeah. Exactly. And then even then when you get out, and it's like what I was saying about the reputation to be able to equip the weapons, right? Like you get a license to be a weapon holder in Terra. When you come out of a Terra prison, assuming you do have that, you have this massive negative stigma. So like the security even more intense of you at other stations because that's on your record. It's something that you've done that, you know, we're on about Death of a Spaceman, these things that carry on through lineages when you die and stuff, right? It's that thing that sticks with you. Oh, you committed a terrorist act in Terra or even tried to. You're now going to have negative repercussions throughout the rest of the game.
Yeah. Jerry, you suffer from imposter syndrome more than anybody that I've ever met. Like the elements that you brought to...
He always used to tell me I don't know how to make games, so
the
Elliot's fault.
Yeah, the ideas you brought to this are like really significant, and it's very clear that you have the game designer background and you know what you're doing, and yeah, you're smarter than all of us idiots that are just sitting here wanting to play a video game. You're actually expressing how to make it.
For food needs to come on here. Get Christian on here, please.
I should, yeah, one of these days. But
he just refuses to come. Anyway, thanks very much for having us, mate. Appreciate it.
Later, Jerry.
Ta-ra.
Bye-bye. Thanks for coming on,
man.
My
chicken's not burnt. If I've burnt my chicken, I'm coming for you.
Okay. But I'll stay in Terra so you can't. Bye-bye. All right, guys. Very good call from Jerry. I do appreciate it. We're gonna... I think I'm ready for our next caller. I am. Jerry Philbane is back. He was like popping in and out of the list there. Jerry, can you hear me? The other Jerry.
Yeah, the new Jerry. The other... I'm happy you have multiple Jerrys.
Yes, you're Jerry with a G. So...
Yes.
What's up, man? You've waited in line just about as long as everybody. Actually, longer than everybody now. So
yeah, no, I had a pickup. That's the only time. Like if I'm driving, it's good, but sometimes in between stops, I gotta do like package pickups and all that. So
gotcha.
Thank you. Sorry about that. I mean to cause a kerfuffle.
No, it's all good, man. So what do you have to bring to? There's two sides of the Star Citizen community. Where do you stand? What side?
I'm like I'd say I kind of go back and forth between the two in a semi-bipolar way. Like sometimes I dive really deep into one, and now I'll dive deep into the other one.
Okay. Where are you right now?
Right now, I'm not playing the game, to be perfectly honest.
Standard.
Yeah, but I was when 14 first dropped for like a month or so. I was into it, and now I'm waiting for the wipe. I'm excited to see how everything works out. So I'm definitely still following everything.
Okay, well, what did you want to bring to the table here then?
So my big thing with this is, and I think one of the callers kind of touched on it, but I don't hear a lot, is to say that I think that the scale of Star Citizen makes it extremely unique. Like there's in regards to PvP, PvE dynamics, you know?
Yeah.
And like the other caller was saying, how the rarity of PvP, I feel like in this game particularly, I agree with what you said, by the way, about certain areas being not necessarily like you can't PvP, but like technically it's impossible. Like if somebody does something in the middle of Lorville, they're gonna get shot and go to jail like immediately. That sort of thing I get, and I think that makes sense for the game.
Jerry, can I stop you for a second? I'm assuming you're driving.
Yeah, why? Is it really bad?
It's pretty are you on a Bluetooth mic?
I am, yeah. It's
I could tell.
No.
It's weird. Right. It's like half robot, half not. You basically sound like your Xeno threat.
Dude, that's funny because last week I was on the same mic, but I don't know. It might just be. Yeah, it might just have some issues this time around. I don't know.
No.
It still sounds like that, yeah.
A little bit. It's getting better. I would just do whatever you can to try and basically it sounds like it's bouncing off a lot of metal. So I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's odd. Just real quick, there might be a setting in here I can switch.
Don't play with anything. You're driving. Don't do anything illegal, okay? Please, not for a stupid Star Citizen podcast. We'll how about this? We'll go for a little bit, but if it gets too rough, I'll let you know, okay?
All right, good. So real quick, so basically, my point is to say that the scale of the game, also quantum, is they're like they go into this like I think that the developers can space things out with PvP, PvE content in a way that makes it virtually like impossible to really run into a PvP incursion unless you're looking for it, if that makes sense, or if like they're really trying to. I think it'll depend on the missions you do too. So I don't know personally. I don't see it as that big of a deal. I don't really understand how where the battling goes between the two groups.
Okay, here's where I think it comes from. Is I think a lot of missions in Star Citizen have counter missions or plans for counter missions, and I think players are looking at, oh my god, this game is full loot. What do I do about my golden gun? Am I going to lose that forever? There was not a wipe in Star Citizen for 18 months, 16 months, something like that. If I lose my golden gun on day one, what happens to it? So it's more people asking questions and wanting for clarification and being nervous on the side of the, I have these things that I paid for, what happens to them? How full loot is full loot? All of those things. What, like, they're basically trying to figure out the outliers, and are they one of them? And I think that's where a lot of it comes from, is just how punishing are they planning on making this game? And I think players that don't want that punishment are getting a little bit nervous, and they're expressing their opinions about it. And I think the other side is going, robble, but Eve, and then here we are.
Yeah, no, I can't really jump on the PvP guys too hard because I do like that sense of the full loot PvP. I'm a fan of that. I like the just as a mechanic. But that's the thing. I think we're in a place with the game where it's hard to tell, like, if the size and scale of the game really is going to be so that you know what you're getting into. I don't think it's bad to have like a situation where you could lose something that's valuable. And then the other question is, how valuable is the loot going to be, really? Right?
Yeah.
We don't really know. We only know a little bit. It's like, how valuable will the guns be that you get? Are they going to be just things you can buy and replace? Are they going to be special skins to guns? It's very tough to say, because right now, I mean, if you lose anything in the game, barring you lost like, instead of like an 890 jump, I mean, what's the it's not really that terrible of an issue, currently, at least.
Yeah. Okay.
But that's the thing. I want things to get better to where you have really good guns too.
Yeah.
And you have really good loot. So yeah, I don't know. Now that you mention it, it is a tough question to answer. It's something where I just don't think that we've got enough information yet about it where we can go one way or the other.
Year 9, and we have no idea how the core of the game will play. That is the scariest thing about this project.
It's so bad.
It is so bad.
It's so nuts. Like, they can't give us that much information. I don't know why. I don't know if they're trying to surprise us or what, but it feels like, I don't think it's that. But it feels to me like they're just trying to figure it out as they go, and I wish they'd I guess take a little bit more action to really knuckle down and explain to us how they want people to play the game. Because the way that they say, like, it's an everything simulator, that leaves way too much up to interpretation. And I think it really leaves the door open for people to go, because one thing I don't want a split and a divide between the entire community, between PvE and PvP. I don't think it's needed necessarily. So I would like if they could figure out ways to integrate. If they can find ways to make the downtime exciting and fun, which, teach their own. Some people just really don't like to hang around. They just want to shoot. But if they can find ways to fun or interesting, I think they can do a lot to make it so you're not always in complete danger all the time. I don't think that they're gonna. I don't know.
I think what and we've talked a lot about this in recent months. one thing that can really help with that is reputation, right? If you want to go down a path of being the greatest miner ever in the game, well, you build reputation as high as you can within the mining corporations that are in the game. If you want to be the best bounty hunter, then you go and do a lot of bounty hunter missions and earn reputation within those areas. If you don't want to play the video game, which, like, listen, I read almost all my YouTube comments. I read a lot of comments on Twitter. I read the chat as much as I can. Some people literally say, please don't put game elements in my sim. Somebody literally told me that Star Citizen is legally a sim and is bound by law to be a simulator in my YouTube comments. Like, the mindset that people have are obviously, like, some of them are, you know, might be a little bit ill, but the idea of what people want out of Star Citizen are they're all over the place. So the ability and I think Star Citizen is trying to do that, to say, if you want to be this, you can. But I think what they're trying to do and what people are getting upset about is, in order for someone to be a PvPer, in order for them to exist, that sometimes they have to be like, the game has to cross paths with the non-PvP player in order for PvP to exist. They have to make those paths cross, and I think that's what people are getting pissed off about. You know,
they want it to be separate.
Exactly, they want it to be separate, but it cannot be completely separate. It can be separate, but not all the time.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I think when you talk about, like, even the Mile High Club, I think that's kind of a cool example.
Yeah, go have your Mile High Club. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, I think that's a good example of, like, hey, you can have this, like, PvE separation. Without having to necessarily go, oh, everywhere in the game has to have. Basically, I've seen people say we need 2 servers. You know, and it's like, I don't know about it.
No,
too much effort and work for them to do, and then on top of that, it's like, what? Like, you got to design. I think it makes a better game in the long run if you design for both sides and you try to intermesh them. It might be risky, yeah, in some ways, but I also just think you're going to have you get better solutions. Like I think you wouldn't have prisons if it was just PvE, you know, what would be the point of it?
Yeah.
So you have these moments where they can actually get creative, which is what a big part of why I'm even excited about the game, is because I feel like they have done a lot to do something that's never been done before, you know?
It's crazy how much the last Jerry, opened my eyes up about the purpose of prison. Like, in Stanton, it feels stupid. Like, and it feels like a pain in the ass. But wow, the eye-opening moment of what it would be in a system that's supposed to be locked down is like, yo, holy shit, my brain just exploded. And why it makes sense to do it in the first place. I think a lot of people go, prison stupid, why do we have it, blah, 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 you know? And it's just like, okay.
No, I agree. I gotta go back and listen to him. I missed that part. Now I'm upset I'm not caught up. But
it was a good call, yeah.
But right on. But Jerry's do that. Good Jerry. My last, I guess, thought is just to say, you know, with the quantum system as well, I wanted to just say, like, I feel like one thing that we are gonna have a leg up on in other games is to say that they're going to have, like, an active view, bird's eye view on how players are interacting. You know, like, they're going to know, okay, here's this mission, and it looks like all these people are getting murdered on this route or whatever in a cargo situation. Now, do the players continue to do that same mission, or do they stop doing it? You know, they're going to be able to kind of mitigate and say, here's some missions where a lot of PvP happens, so let's make it more obvious that there's going to be a fight. I think that they're going to have that ability to do that, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, I agree. It's the creating these sections where people intersect is going to be really, really important.
You know, it'll feel. I think no matter what they end up doing, it's gonna piss off some people. But I also think that in the long run, the game will be way better off for it if they can work to combine them, and if they're watching, you know, and making sure that, you know, they'll be able to see, I guess is what I'm saying, that people are accepting certain missions a certain amount of times. So hopefully that doesn't just mean that people are struggling through it, you know.
Yeah. Somebody's asking in the chat what kind of truck do you drive?
I'm not a truck driver. I'm a courier.
Ah,
I'm rolling in a Fiat 500.
Pog. Nice, dude.
Pog you.
Yeah. Well, all right, Jerry. I guess we'll let you go. And yeah, I guess if there are any final thoughts, feel free to share them.
Yeah, no, I think that's pretty much it. I went over most of what I wanted to say. I want to meet lawyer guy who told you that that it's against the law for them not to have a sim. He's the guy. I want to play the game with him.
Oh yeah. No, it's legally a sim. It would be against the law to put game elements in the game. He literally said it in the YouTube comments. It was incredible.
I want to see what that guy's got going on.
I have it saved on my phone somewhere. It's amazing.
Interesting guy.
Yeah.
Right on. All right, Jerry. Man. Yeah, thanks, man. Sorry, my connection's going in and out too, so I'm trying to figure out how to even get it to work on here. So thanks for having my call.
No problem. Thanks for calling in, man.
Later, man.
Bye. All right, our next caller is Moist Noodle. What's up, Moist?
Hello.
Hey. Oh, wow. A microphone and a camera. Hello.
I was going to meme and get the sound of somebody driving a car, but then it took too long to download.
So, Moist, I think most people know. What side of the community are you on?
I'm all for 890 jumps and ship shows, dude.
Did you what did you vote for?
What do you think I voted for?
Obviously,
I'm all for exploration. I'm all for exploration, dude.
Yeah.
But what is an exploration ship without a way to transport things to your exploration ship, right?
It's very true.
Argo, bitches! Yeah, baby.
So yeah, we you were here for most of the conversations, I think. Not the early ones before we started the show, really. But I wanted to come at it from like, there's two sides of the community, and it's really starting to show right now. And
it's not though, dude. It's always shown. It's always shown.
But they're really starting to show their colors worse than I've ever seen it.
Yeah.
You know, both sides.
This is true.
And it's
what was the drama with Xylo's post? Because I didn't even see the post.
I didn't see the post either. I was asleep. But apparently, I don't know. He said I won't make that tweet. He deleted some tweet, but he got a lot of hate. I don't know. But I think it's just in general the Star Citizen community team like embracing the meme, and people got really pissed off about that. So pretty stupid.
Imagine joking about something, dude. Oh,
imagine
terrible,
joking about a ship that doesn't. Okay, like how much more function does your Carrack have in the video game that has no function over the small ship, the Argo Cargo, that has no function? Like, what are we doing here? Imaginary ship in an imaginary competition in nothing that matters. It is insane to me the level of like seriousness that people took over this thing. It is nuts, dude. I just sat on the side and was just like, this is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen in my life.
Star Citizen is super serious business though, dude. In all seriousness, I think it's a product of the product.
Yes.
Right? When you ask people to spend this, well, no, you're not asking people to spend this much money on the game, but when you have a funding model that encourages people to spend large quantities of money, they will naturally become more financially and emotionally attached to that product.
Absolutely.
And then when you start joking about it in a way that they might not like, then they get more offended by that, right?
Yeah, like people, like okay, Ideal Poker, my casino live streams poker on Twitch. I'm one of the better dealers in the poker room. I cannot deal that game because I feel that there are people that are very hateful towards me in the community because of the jokes that I make and that I laugh about things, and my full name is on there, and if you know all that, you could find me and kill me if you wanted to. Like like that's obviously the most extreme scenario, but I cannot, and those games make a ton of money, and I cannot deal those games because of that factor, because I'm literally scared of being doxxed. And
that's so sad, man.
Yeah. and it's because I just joke, like I literally don't like the level of care. I care about this game, but at the same time I also enjoy to just make fun of the scenario that we're in, because it is ridiculous. Year 9, we don't know the core elements of the game. We're getting mad about a ship skin competition.
Well, no, hang
it's
on.
like hilarious.
I mentioned this in chat as well, right? Because we don't know what a lot of the plans are. And I think there's a reason for that. I think CIG know a lot of the plans, but they're not willing to share it with us because of the reaction that the community has had in the past to slight deviations to the plans.
Exactly.
Which again is CIG folding to people who just get mad about such
1,000%
trivial stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's so frustrating. And to a degree, you know, I just really hope that they don't see the negative backlash from the Argo stuff and then are scared to still have fun in the future. Because I think this is why a lot of gaming companies or publishers, oh shit, the anti-PvP police just you know, I just don't want them to be scared of having fun in the future because of this, right?
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. It's frustrating.
Yeah, I'm very concerned about that too, because I said it earlier, and I don't know if you heard it, but I think them embracing the meme is, even if it was intentionally trying to change the culture of the Star Citizen community, it really can. And having a good time and not taking everything so seriously and recognizing that it is a ship skin competition that has really no bearing on the game whatsoever is just an opportunity to have some good fun. And the fact that they had some fun and embraced it, and if they don't do that in the future because they're afraid of the backlash of it, it just comes down to, I told Jake this. I was like really proud of everything, and I thought that they did a really good job and had a lot of fun with it. It was awesome. But the hate that you're getting is a product of the community that you created. And
yes,
and that's the other thing is that the concierge forums, the sub only forums, the exclusivity, the this, the that is where this stuff comes from. Like, don't take like one of the comments was literally the kids are just having fun. Like, I'm the adult with the money that bought my 890 jump or my Carrack, and I'm not getting my skin because of it. You know, and it's
the level of entitlement from some people in this community is hugely frustrating.
Who's being the kid here? You know?
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's I saw it as such a positive, and I hope
here's the thing, dude.
They embrace it and have more fun in the future.
I'm gonna be honest. This is the first time I've ever voted in the ship showdown.
I've
never
on
given
the
a shit before.
Yeah, just to be a dick, I guess. Because they were getting so mad.
I've never even cared about the ship showdown before, and I think this was actually the meme was a really good way to get people to engage with the community event, right? Like,
and I think that's why the community team embraced it, because it was 100%. It was creating more buzz and bringing the community closer together, even though they might have been fighting in that little bubble. It was bringing us together around whatever this was. Yeah. And what I loved about it is that this event is literally the marketing team going, okay, we all know everybody likes big ships, so we're going to do a competition that has big ships, and we're going to give those skins to the big ships at the end. And when we have these amazing skins, like these are literally both years in a row, I think have been the best looking skins that the game has made, period, except for maybe the purple one in the beginning, which wasn't that good, but whatever. The idea of these extremely unique, very cool looking skins, and then the opportunity to sell the big ship after, the fact that the community team embraced this tiny little ship that most people aren't going to buy, and if they do, it's most likely not going to make as much money as selling a few Carracks would have. The fact that they embrace that shows, I think, something really special to me as well, that it's not all about the money, and it's about fun, and it's a game. In the end, it's all about fun. And the fact that they embraced that over everything was key.
The thing is, we've seen drama like this over a community event before. Do you remember October? What happened in October?
Yeah, the Vandal event. Yeah.
Do you remember the drama with people Congo lining and stuff like that?
Yes,
you know,
even when I see a
it wasn't
lineup
as bad as this, but
at a restaurant, that's the first thing I think about. It's like, oh, it's the Vandal maskers. Look at them.
Yeah, you know, I think a lot of it does come down to people's senses of entitlement. And yeah, like I said earlier, and like you said, it's a product of the product that they've created. It's never going to get better. I don't think. Well, let me take it back. I think it'll only get better when the barrier to entry to Star Citizen is easier, right? Like once I think the game performs better on lower end machines, so more people can play. I don't think it'll be anywhere near as bad, because you have to think about the types of people who can afford to play Star Citizen, right? And I'm not saying everybody with money is necessarily an entitled asshole, but it does, I think, encourage that sort of behavior, right? Maybe that's just me.
Maybe. I think that might just be you, because I think the only people that care are going to be the ones that you see respond to the Twitter post or make a Spectrum thread, right? And a majority of the people don't give a shit, because it's just a stupid competition and they're just waiting for the game to come out, right? I don't think anybody actually cares. Like, the only reason we care is because we're like, at least for me, I'm not going to put words in your mouth. The only reason I cared is because I'm like, holy shit, look at these people. Do you see this? This is insane. This is so funny. Can you, like, do you believe this? Like, the tweet that I made was like, this, like you can't make this shit up. You can't make this shit up. This is insanity. Like, all I'm going to
say is that a vote against Argo is a vote against fun, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, true.
Can we talk about Star Citizen instead of this ridiculous drama?
I think it's you started it, not me.
I didn't. How did I start it? You're the one that brought up the bloody event. Dude, come on. This is not my fault. Don't blame me.
Fine. It's not your fault. But yeah, like what like somebody said we were off topic in the comment in the chat. I don't think that's off topic at all. I think the Argo event represents one of the sides of the community that doesn't give a shit about the game, blah 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 blah. But all right. So, do you want to touch on more of the, like, PvP embracing that seems to be going on with looting and the reaction of the community to it?
I didn't really have any thoughts yet, because you asked me to come on, so I just came on and I was hoping you'd lead the conversation.
I am leading it. So, obviously, 315 brings full loot PvP. There's tons of threads about, like, don't take my subscriber flare items. I don't want to play a game like this, blah, 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 blah. I don't know if I want to play a game like that necessarily. I know I do, but at the same time, when I do get killed, I'm probably gonna slam my desk more often than and be unhappy than I am gonna feel good about mechanics like that in the game. But I also have played, like, Ultima Online switched to this, like, insurance system where you never lose anything, and it just sucked. Like, oh my god, I looted this guy's, you know, potions.
From the way that they described it on that Inside Star Citizen, it doesn't sound like they're implementing it in a bad way, because, you know, when you get downed, then from what they described on Inside Star Citizen, you wake up in the bed, you only lose the stuff if you choose the fast track. Right? That's what he said.
No, because if you're downed, you could still be killed. So say you come up to me, you down me.
No, that's what I'm saying. Even when you wake up in the bed, if you go back and watch Inside Star Citizen, if you fast track the healing process, that's when you lose the items. That's what he said.
I don't think so. And I can't go back
I'm pretty sure
now. I don't think that's what happened. So
I'm pretty sure that's what he said. Oh, apparently if you run out of time, you lose them too.
Yeah. And if you're killed, you lose them. If you
die... Okay, either way, if you lose them, who gives a shit? Because you only have to do one mission to buy that armor and weapon again anyway.
Well, not if they're subscriber flare items, not if they're items that people paid for. And that's what
Well,
I think
yeah, because
people are getting
they already
butthurt about.
they already stated it might not be coming in 3.15, but we will get a store where we can buy the subscriber stuff back anyway in game.
They're looking into it, but they haven't committed to anything.
Yeah, but we will ultimately get that. They have to.
I don't think
I'm pretty
we have
sure
to.
people. I think we do.
I think if you take
think it
those
would
things
be-
out into risky areas, like, you deserve to lose them. Like, I
But
think those
nobody would
items
ever-
are meant to be on a
you
wall.
run into that. You run into the same situation that EVE Online has, in that nobody would ever use it. So
Yeah.
why even have it in the game? Like, it's just Pokemon. Got to collect them all at that point.
Exactly, but Pokemon's like one of the most popular games in the world. Like, okay, I'll give you my perspective on these things, because I this is what I'm into in games, and I don't think I'm the only one. Is that gold gun is literally, it's the same gun as the one that you could buy in the store, but it's gold.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't earn that gun. I fucking paid for it. But if the game made it where I didn't pay for it, and I earned it, and I got it in some cool event, and I got super lucky to get it, I'm just going to put it up in my wall and look at it, and it's a memento. It is a thing to commemorate that event that I did in the game. Look at that thing. It's cool. That's
So
what
what
it's there
happens?
for.
What happens when you put that gun down to give it to a friend? It falls through the floor. Because even when this game is released, that shit will still happen.
Then I'm sure you could put in a ticket and get it back. But the idea of, well, maybe
And
maybe
what
could, maybe
happens,
could.
because this shit, sorry to interrupt, but what happens then? Because this shit happened to me in EVE Online. What happens when they come back and say, "Oh, we have no log of that. Sucks to be you."
Then it sucks to be
Like,
you.
that is really shit.
Like, life sucks,
I'm not saying. I'm not saying, right, that this shit should be cheap to buy, but there should be the option to get it back.
I don't like
in my
the
opinion.
idea of the paid store circumventing game mechanics. I think the paid store should just be like, I would like to look cool, and that's pretty much it. I don't think it should circumvent the
By the way, I'm
actual
just
way the
playing-
game works.
I'm just playing devil's advocate because, quite frankly, I don't give a shit about anything that's on. Like,
Yeah,
I don't care about the
I care
concierge
about that.
armor or
I know.
anything.
I know. I care about that
Um,
kind of stuff. And I just care about it in the, like, I have my memento, I have my thing that commemorates the event that I did or whatever I earned, and I collect them and I leave them in my house or whatever. And that's what I always did in MMOs. That's what in the MMO that I played. And that's what I liked about it. And listen, if it falls through the floor, like, I mean, what the fuck can you do? That life sucks. That's it. But the idea of, if I bring it out and do something risky with it and I lose it, and I don't get to cry like a little bitch either. So it's just one of those things where I look at it as a memento. I don't look at it as a useful item as a for the game mechanics of the game. I look at it as only that. But that's me. Maybe I'm different. But I think a lot of people look at those type of items the same way I do. So for me, I think the problem with that is that the same value that a memento might have to me, the really, really powerful good weapon could have to other players. And what that can turn into is that, and this applies to a lot of what you do, is that PvP, even in ships, if we're losing ship components as well, is that you could lose those really good items, and then you're ending up fighting with, mid-grade shit. And then what's the point?
Here's
What are you
the
grinding
thing,
for,
though.
like, good items and stuff?
Is
So what do you think about
this
that?
this kind of touches on, we're talking about good items, right? CIG have said multiple times that this game is supposed to be about rock, paper, scissors. So what's a good item in one scenario might not be a good item in another,
Okay.
right?
Sure.
And it's like you were having the conversation a little bit earlier about people being sent to prison, Well, let me tell you something. If I get sent to, if Jerry has his way and I'm sent to prison in Terra for 5 months, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to log into my other account, because that skill ceiling that you were talking about earlier, that skill that I have it on my other accounts as well, you know, if you want a skill-based game, then because I've had this conversation on my stream as well, and somebody said, well, you know, if you can just bypass Death of a Spaceman that easily, then CIG have failed with Death of a Spaceman. Yeah, but how do they get around that? You know, is people will, if you trap players into a prison where they don't want to be, where there is no gameplay, then they'll just log into a different account. And I see PvPers doing it. Now, here's the thing. I was really excited for PvP when it was announced, you know, because they talked about all the potential for gameplay in there. And
You're excited for prison? You said you were excited for PvP. You mean prison, right?
Prison, sorry.
Yeah, okay, no worries. Just making sure.
Yeah. And the potential for gameplay in prison could be really awesome, right? But for it to be awesome, you have to also understand that people play the game in different ways. And yet, people who mine are, if they get sent to prison, fine. They'll just go and mine for 15, 20 minutes, whatever, right? Go get their hat night. But not everybody likes mining, right? Now, if they, for example, had a mission in there where a prison guard comes up to you and says, oh, there's a riot down in the mines. We need somebody to go down there and clear them out, but we don't have enough guards to send down there. We want you to go clear it out, right? And then they give me a shank or a pistol or something, right? For me to go down there and do some combat and clear them out. That's way more entertaining to me, right? They could have missions or they could have NPCs in there that are basically there for trading, right? So if you like trading gameplay, you can play this trading minigame and barter your way out of prison, right, to get merits. There needs to be gameplay for everybody, and that would keep me in prison, away from the people who want me not to be camping at Port Olisar.
Okay.
But as it is right now, I just log into my alt account, and then I just go back to Port Olisar within 5 minutes.
Okay, I'm going to try and put words in Jerry's mouth, and I'll keep a look at the chat a little bit, though. The Terra example, obviously it wasn't 5 months, but the Terra example,
I'm memeing.
Yeah, of course, is more of the, if you're going to take that risk and do something insane, you know the consequences, but if you pull it off, it is going to be the greatest thing you've ever done. And that is the point of that punishment. But at the same time, the punishment is literally you just go on your other account, you know? So it's like, so I get what you're saying there, but the purpose of that is that. And I think that's the purpose of prison and Stanton system. It just doesn't work that way.
No, and I, you know, it's something that I just want to keep highlighting. If you want to keep people in prison, you need to make it entertaining enough to keep them in prison, because otherwise it won't keep them in prison.
I don't think they're trying to keep you in prison. I think they're trying to make it the avoidant, like if you manage to escape unscathed, that was an achievement. I think that's the point, is the achievement of not getting there in the first place. Getting away with it. That's the achievement. It's supposed to be annoying. It's supposed to be shit. Now, I agree with you, there should be more gameplay elements. If you choose to be there, then you are. And it should be more fun than it is now, but I think the whole purpose of it in the first place was first the deterrent, second the if you aren't deterred, the achievement if you actually get away with it.
I'll say I'm really excited for 3.15 and that it will bring what feels like an almost equal punishment to people for dying who aren't criminals. That's really exciting to me.
Yeah.
Not that I'm not saying that I want people who aren't criminals to want to not enjoy the game. At the end of the day, it's in every PvPer's interest for people to play the game, right? Everyone to play the game.
Yeah.
More top targets of opportunity.
Yeah.
But it will be nice, you know, as a criminal. How long has prison been in now? For like 18 months? What is it? I can't remember how long it's been.
Just after SitCon 2019, I think.
So almost 2 years. And it's you know, it is fun and exciting to try and fly and not be sent to prison. But it is frustrating when you are fighting a group of people and they are non-stop coming at. There can't be a win condition if they just keep coming back, right? Because say you're fighting 3 people, you kill the first one, you kill the second one, and by the time you kill the third one, the first one is just respawned and is jumping straight back on you.
Yeah, it's super stupid.
Yeah. So that I'm really excited for.
Yep. The time sync for the bounty hunter has to exist as well, essentially.
Yeah. Yep. But to bring it back to that conversation that you were having about terror, you were kind of talking about the security systems for different systems, like solar systems, right? And having the more lawless systems and having the more security focused systems. And like I said a couple of minutes ago, it's in no PvPer's interest to scare people away from this game. And I think it's hyper important that people from the PvP community understand that we need casual players. But for us to ultimately have the Star Citizen experience that we were always promised, that people from the more casual side of the community understand that we also need the PvPers, right? Yes, and you kind of touched on this a little bit earlier. You know, when the Kickstarter was announced and we saw the trailers and I saw Chris talking about his dream for Star Citizen, you know, I think back to the first time I watched New Hope, and I remember seeing them, you know, turn up at the homestead. I thought, you know, that's what I want. I want my cheeky little farm. I want to grow some space weed and get high and sit there with my shotgun telling people to get off my land. And if I want to hop in a spaceship and go low fly and just have some fun, right? Imagine, yeah, exactly. It's going to be so nice. And that's absolutely what I want. Now, I'm under no illusion all these years later that mining isn't for me. I'm not a smart person. I am extremely cognitively challenged, right? I can't do the smart people stuff, Mike.
For me, the PvP is the smart people stuff, and quick reactions, and like anytime you've trained me in PvP, it's like the most big brain shit ever. So just stop.
I know. Whatever. Well, look, I can't do that industry stuff, so I need help with that kind of stuff, right? Yeah. So I would rather go to a friend like Tessa D. If I need ore, I'll go to Tessa D, right? If I need help with trading, I've got plenty of friends who can help me with trading, right? I'm not going to call those people casual players because I don't think they are casual players. I think casual player is probably the
such a negative connotation. I just don't know what word to replace it with.
Yeah, it's just non-PvP focused players, I guess.
Yeah.
But you know, when Tessa and her group of people, they need to go and mine in a more dangerous location, I would hope that they would reach out to me or other PvP groups and say, look, we want to protect ourselves from the likes of Shadow Moses, right? Can you guys come and watch our backs, right? We share this universe, right? We should be all working together. As much as some people do like to try and play this game solo, I mean, by all means, if you want to play it solo, play it solo. But if you want to get the most out of Star Citizen, you have to play it with other people, work with other people. And that includes people who play the game in a different way, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think the big point of this podcast is to recognize that there are more than two sides, but there's two polarizing sides, in my opinion, and that both need each other and they need to respect each other a lot more.
I think that's what it comes down to.
Yeah,
it's the same. It's just human nature, dude. Like,
there's a lot of bullying going on both sides, and it's not okay.
Here's the thing, it's not even sides, dude. It's a gradient, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But what you find is that each end of the scale, you have douchebags.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. And I guess I don't know what to do in this. Like, all you can really do is just ignore those people and move on, right? I think that's literally because you deal with it in Twitch chat as a streamer. I deal with it. I get those people who pop in and they say extremely.
The YouTube comments are 10 times worse.
Oh, I've seen it, dude.
10
I've seen it.
Worse.
And it's like, for example, a little bit earlier, a friend of mine DM'd me, and Nipper, and they were fighting outside Grimhex of all places, right? And they sent me a screenshot. I won't read the comment because of what it says, but basically this person told them in global chat that they hope both of their parents die in a car crash, right? Because they were PvPing outside Grimhex.
Like the one place that it should be totally acceptable of all places.
And, you know, that it's just like... And it's so easy to just fly away and quantum out of that situation, right? And these sorts of people, just don't reward them by engaging with them. Just pretend that they don't exist and move on. Because I get comments like that in my Twitch chat, right?
Yeah.
And I just purge them and just pretend that they're not there. That's how and they never come back. That's how you deal with that situation.
Yeah, I had to mute somebody on the YouTube comments because they were just insanely toxic. It was so bad. But yeah, I think that's like the general point of this is that everybody needs each other if the game is to succeed. We all need each other. We all, like, I do not envision you and I, even though we are probably on different sides of that gradient, I cannot see a situation where you would not join me in a PvE scenario.
Yeah,
right? Just because we're friends, we enjoy playing games together. Like me and Moist Noodle truck in American Truck Sim together, right? Like the
Peterbilt all the way, yeah, baby.
Exactly. Like the idea of, you know, you maybe doing that in Star Citizen is not insane. So
I was actually thinking, I've been training a couple of friends of mine. I've been teaching Susan how to fight, and I've been teaching Gabby how to fight. Gabby's lovely, by the way. I think we should do some PvP training.
I'm down. I'm down. Should we do it in 3:15 or should? Because I kind
no, we should start now, right now.
Now. All right, not now, but we could start in 3:14. I'm down.
Okay.
Down.
Okay.
We'll start this week. But yeah, we've been going for a while. We got one more caller. Is there anything before I let you go?
No, I apologize, chat. My brain is all over the place today. Sorry. I'll try to do better next time.
I thought we were on topic the whole time. If they don't, I don't care. Okay.
I feel like I'm still asleep, dude. You know when you wake up some days and you feel like you just haven't woken up?
That's me every day. That's me every day.
It's exhausting.
Exhausted all the time.
Dude, just existing is exhausting, isn't it? Or is that just me? I don't know.
No, it can be.
Oh god.
It can be. But if you haven't talked to somebody about that, you might want to.
Maybe that's why I'm a PvP. I just feel disconnected from reality. Any psychiatrists in chat? Sort me out, chat. Somebody DM me on Discord. All right, cheers. All right, I'll catch you later, Mike. Bye.
Later, dude. Bye. Sorry, guys. Mental health is very important. So you should always take care of it if you can. Now, Ancient Sleddy, what's up, dude? Welcome. Can you hear me?
Hey. Yeah, mate, I can hear. How's it going?
Good. You're a little low for me. Let me see if I have you low on Discord. I do not. I'm gonna turn you up. Don't turn yourself up, okay?
All right, no worries.
I think we're good now. So yeah.
All right.
I'll give you a little intro. Agent Sleddy, part of Mongrel Squad. If you guys haven't seen their YouTube videos, I think they are the most entertaining YouTube videos in the Star Citizen community. They're pirates, and they do piracy content exclusively on YouTube, I heard recently. Not really on Twitch as much anymore, but I guess you'll get into that. I've never gone down a YouTube rabbit hole for Star Citizen content before. You guys are the only time I ever have. So, yeah, props to you guys. But two sides of the Star Citizen community. I think I kind of shared which one you fall on. But, yeah, take the wheel. How do you want to add to our conversation today?
Yeah, it's like we obviously see the very polarized side of the community with what we do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're quite disruptive when you're pirating someone, especially when they're peacefully mining, as you've found out firsthand.
Sure.
Some of the comments that we've seen as well, like it's a bit ironic that you're mentioning that apparently Star Citizen incorporating game mechanics not being making it illegal. or something along those lines.
Mhm.
Or we got something similar actually, where somebody was telling us that once Alpha UEC goes to UEC, the game goes gold essentially, that in their country, pirating them is a real life crime because you can purchase UEC with real money. So that
no
like
way.
that's just one of the examples, like, and we also get, the hate comments, like people want us to die in house fires and, like calling us all the gamer words and all that sort of stuff. Like we get that, side of the community. Obviously, it's just one of those things that you kind of have to accept with the territory when you're going out there and pirating players is that, what we do is disruptive. Like we acknowledge that.
Sure.
It's definitely been interesting seeing how the community's been reacting to the whole Argo versus Carrick meme,
Yeah.
like trying to push the Argo to the top. But it's not surprising to see like the extremes from both sides, coming out. People that feel entitled to what they want coming out of the woodwork, and also like those people like pretty much trying to push the meme to send a message to CIG. I'm personally not surprised, but I think that's partially because of the experience that like we have when we go out there and do piracy against players, because we see that.
Yeah.
We've been in the situation where like we've been accused of griefing on Spectrum itself, and because we record our hits that we're doing when we're playing the game, we will I responded to it, and it was probably one of the quickest videos that I ever put out. When this person was, saying they got griefed, and it's like, no, you're actually pirated. We went out of our way to contact you. Like we have 3 methods that we try to go through when we're trying to communicate with other players. Like we'll try voice calling you. We'll try direct messaging, talking to you via the channel system. So you can create channels and invite people to them. It's supposed to pop up with a message saying you've been invited to this channel. We normally title it "You're being pirated," so they know what's going on.
Yeah.
I don't think that they're just getting randomly attacked by someone. And then, finally, we try contacting via global comms. And our guys have gone through that entire process, and we've had to call it out. We had to respond, provide the evidence, and pretty much just sit there and go, like, you weren't being griefed, you were being pirated. This is a part of the game. And I guess it goes back to that mentality where people, like, they want to play their game, they want to have their experience. And one of the things that you brought up earlier in the show where, like, what's the point? What do people want to get out of playing Star Citizen? And I think I mentioned this the last time that we talked, but for us, like, it's all about the experience. Like, doing piracy right now is just about gaining experience. Because at the end of the day, you can't take the things that you do in the video game outside of into the real world other than the experiences that you have in the game. It's all about telling those stories.
Yeah.
I agree with what Jerry was saying in regards to how like security is handled in game, how punishment should be handled for certain activities. Like Terra should be an ultra secure area, but the opportunity for players to like try and have an impact there should still be available. And if you pull it off, then like that's a huge reputation thing that creates value there. When you've got like this capability where you can go, hey, like, did you hear about this group that did this thing? And it's disruptive for those people who are looking for that, that little slice of heaven, that little peaceful area that they don't want to be disturbed in. But it should also be like, if you fuck it up, if you fail, like, it is hardcore punishment. Like,
How do
it
you
should
feel
be,
about my
like,
comments around that scenario?
I think, like, I look at it this way, and I always ask the question when it comes to doing anything that we're doing, like, especially when we're out doing piracy, is the juice worth the squeeze? Like, is what we're about to do really going to be worth the time and effort that it's going to take to do it? Because, if the consequences are so severe that we're sitting there going, well, this could take us out of the game for months. Like, yeah, sure, we've all got alt accounts. We'll just jump onto those. But with CIG investing heavily into how the reputation system is supposed to impact a player's ability to interact with the rest of the verse, that may still be an adverse effect on what you're able to do. Like, you know, for example, as pirates being able to operate in Spider with impunity, you know, being able to, you know, go there, be recognized, and, you know, be safe there. What you may end up finding is that you switch over to your alt account, unless that alt account's got the same level of reputation, which means that you've invested a lot of time and effort into that alt account as well. You may end up in this position where it's like your alt account can't do half the stuff that your main account can do.
Yeah.
So that's when you start having to make those considerations where it's like, all right, well, you know, like, is it worth going to bloody, you know, shit on Mike in the middle of Terra while he's there trying to, you know, role playing a yoga session on some terrace somewhere? Is it worth doing that?
Yeah.
Maybe somebody might consider it valuable enough, but at the same time, it, like, the system should be set up so that, like, the margin of, you know, success that you have is so slim that you nearly have to pull it off perfectly. Like, everything, the stars, planets have to align, you know, like, you got everything lined up just to be able to pull that off. Like, I agree with you wanting to be able to, like, feel safe in areas, but just like in real life, there's still, you know, there's still that little slither of, you know, like, chance where something really bad can happen regardless of where you go. And whilst you should be able to get around Terra, you know, not having to look over your shoulder all the time, what I think is that, you know, if the system is set up in a way that you can pull off those sorts of, you know, activities in those areas, it should be like a huge thing to do right. But if you don't do it right, you know, it's, once again, like, it's severely punishing. Because what that does is it creates, you know, value behind activities, because you're able to generate an experience that nobody else can do. Like, you know, like, you pulled off something that nobody else can do. Like, you're the best at that one thing. Something that Chris Roberts has talked about, where he's like, you know, like, where he wants to create that situation where people feel like, you know, like, hey, you know, I'm the man, which is why Star Citizen is going to be predominantly, you know, a PvE based game, you know, 9-to-1 NPC to player ratio. But at the same time, you know, it's one of those situations where I see that there should always be a chance where something bad can happen to you, but, you know, based on how punishing the system is, it should be whether or not, like, you sit there and go, is it really worth the time and effort to do that? Because if I fuck this up, you know, like, I'm stuck in jail on this main account that has access to certain things that my alt accounts don't have, and then I got to spend all the time investing into getting those alt accounts up to that point.
I'm gonna give you a scenario, and I think it's what kind of contradicts what you're saying a little bit. I'm playing devil's advocate somewhat, but I also do feel that this is a real issue. I'll use the 890 Jump Club example yet again in Terra. They're at their beautiful vista. They're sharing drinks. They're having a good time. They're hanging out. Your Mongrel Squad, you YouTube this. There's 100% chance that if you pull this off, it's going to be a YouTube video, right? Because, I mean, come on. It's incredible. You've now put online the steps on how to achieve it. In WoW, in every game, there's world first. People see how the mechanics work. Now they know how the mechanics work. Now this can happen more often. There's less error that could happen. There's less of a chance that the next pirate fails. Then what? This is why I truly believe that it doesn't have to be out of the vastness that is Star Citizen. I'm talking about less than 5% of the places that you can go should allow for the pure, unadulterated safety. But people do need to be able to have the one moment where they can breathe. I just feel that way. And not that I will take that moment. I don't think I will. That's not what I enjoy about the games. But I look around and I look at what this community consists of, and I look and say, there's just got to be places where these people can breathe. What is wrong with that? Why are we fighting against that? It's not the majority of the game. There's no advantage that they're gaining over you. They cannot play Star Citizen the game. They cannot make progress in these places. They're not completing missions in these areas or in these things, but they just need a place where they can hang out for a minute, where Mongrel Squad can't come and say you're being pirated. Like, you guys recognize this, right? Like that the game like is still a video game, and the way people enjoy it is in different ways. And I absolutely believe that 99, 98, 95% of the game should be a place where we are able to intersect with each other. But for those moments of like just to hang out in a meetup, like why? Right? That's just like, but I want to hear your perspective, because it really matters, even though I disagree with it, and to some extent disagree with it. Again, I love the videos. I love the idea of piracy. I want the risk over my shoulder. That's what makes my heart pump. And about games is the risk of losing something. You know, our interactions together have been some of the most fun. Actually, the only time I've had fun in the game, for the most part, besides the Vandal Mask event. So, yeah.
My response to this is that if we pull it off, we'll make a video. Even if we didn't pull it off, we'd still make the video, because it'd be, you know, part of the story of Mongrel Squad.
Sure.
For in this case that we'd be providing steps of replicating what we did, CIG can also view that and make the adjustments as they need to, due to how they want to create the security system to be modular. What it may end up doing is creating a heightened security system. Like, part of what we have to do is trust in CIG, in what they're actually building at the moment. And yeah, it's frustrating with how long development has gone for. And we don't see, you know, like, we know the vision, but we can't see it. You know, like the light isn't even registering at the end of the tunnel yet for us. And for that scenario, I would say, like, to pull something off like that would cause a heightened security presence for a period of time. Would somebody else be able to pull it off somewhere, you know, at another time? Maybe. Like, I look at this in the same vein, though, where, you know, what about criminal players? Will they get their little slice of heaven where they can just sit there and not have to worry about a bounty hunter, you know, coming after them?
Absolutely.
Are they going to get that?
That's absolutely like Spider, like you mentioned. Spider should be Terra, but for you. The idea of how reputation plays into things should go both ways. Don't think I'm ever going to play one side of this. It has to go both ways. The idea of your reputation of, like, yeah, this guy's a bounty hunter, kill on sight, like alarms go off, NPC pirates are going after him, you guys are alarmed, missions are given. Like, yeah, 100%. Like, the idea for me, one of the things that had bothered me the most, I think Jerry and some of the other game designers explained why they couldn't do this or why they didn't want to yet. But the idea of somebody who is constantly doing PvP bounties and killing players and sending them to prison, the fact that there's not a return on the other side, I always found to be a little bit weird. But there was an explanation for it, and it made sense. I just can't remember what it was.
Yeah, it's one of those situations where, like, personally, I'm okay with not having 100% safety. Like, I feel safe when I'm in control of a situation, but I also understand that, you know, like, chaos is a thing. There's always uncertainty in the world. And learning to embrace, you know, that chaos, especially with what we're doing in the game. Like, piracy is a very chaotic thing to do. You know, you go in with a plan. We'll be there discussing the plan like 2 minutes before we initiate the hit. And then as soon as the first shot's fired, it all goes to shit and we're all doing it all over again, you know, and making it up as we go. It almost feels like at that point, coming up with a plan is pointless. But having, you know, like, that little bit of risk there, like, a bounty hunter could still go to Spider and they could shadow us and they might not be able to do anything to us. But the moment we step out, and it's, you know, like, that open space there, it's on. Now, you know, like, for us, we're always
exactly
going to have
what
to
you're
look over our
contradicting
shoulder.
then about Terra. Is you have your safe space, but when you get out of it, then it's on. That's all I'm saying.
Well,
And can I just
guess
jump in
my
and
point-
interject for 2 seconds though? Is the video games exist because people don't want to live in real life. Of course there's chaos in real life, man, but people are trying to escape that. And that's what I recognize about the people in the examples that I've given. Is that's what they're trying to do, man. They're trying to escape real life and have fun and just chill out. And the fact that they don't have the opportunity to do that if the game that is being created doesn't support that thing where you get to be out of the real world and all of your problems and the chaotic nature of the real world and have a moment to just relax and breathe, it just doesn't seem like we're making, like, the point of the video game is being lost. Like, I'm not... Yeah, I'll leave it there.
Yeah. No, I understand what you're talking about there, Mike. Like, this is where we're looking at, motivations behind why people want to play video games.
Yeah.
And, there's
specifically
always
this
going to
one.
be people, like, who want to chill out, like, they just finished work. They don't want to be thinking too much about what they're doing. They kind of want to just sit there, draw on the keyboard, chill out for a bit, relax, let the brain melt for a bit and have a bit of fun. And then there's other players on the other side of the spectrum, though. And, this is the type of player that I am, where I enjoy getting more involved in what we're doing. I enjoy getting involved in the gameplay environment itself, creating, my own stories, my own experiences from the perspective of looking at, like, what kind of impact can I have in the game world?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what can I do? What type of stories can I do? Leading a pirate flotilla to go and, raid another org's bloody base somewhere. Like, that's a story in the, that's a chapter in one of, Mongol Squad's many stories out there. And I understand that some people just want to be able to chill out in their own little corner in the world. And that's okay. I myself personally, I'm okay with having, like, a little bit of extra danger kicking around. I understand that some people, don't. I'm not 100% opposed to, like, CIG going, hey, like, there's some safe areas where, like, no PvP can happen. If CIG wants to do that, it's their game. They make the decision on what they want to do. It's not going to stop us from being able to go into those areas, and we'll be able to watch. And this is kind of going back to the point that I was making. It's like, even though those areas are, like, safe from PvP, that doesn't mean that, like, somebody can't shadow me, somebody can't watch what I'm doing. Because safe from PvP from me is also safe from PvP from them as well.
Yeah.
Like, and the game system may be set up in a way that, like, because I'm a known pirate in game, I've got that, criminal reputation, I show up on Terra, or, I get thrown into jail straight away because, I got the bad rep. At the same time, like, lawful player going to Spider may end up in that same situation where it's like, you're showing up in the wrong part of town, mate, you gotta leave or else, you're gonna get rolled. And that's where you end up in this little place where you have this, problem where, how do you create areas that are, 100% safe for one player but not another? Like, if I go to Terra as a criminal, I'm not safe there. But if you, as a lawful player, come to Spider, you're not going to be safe there either.
You better not.
And this
be.
is where we end up in, And this is where, like, there's answers that CIG could, look into. I'm not opposed to them going, like, there's some areas where it's like 100% safe for a player. Because, at the end of the day, it's a video game. It's supposed to be fun. We're supposed to find enjoyment in our own little area that we're looking for it.
Yeah.
That all said, though, like, I'm not opposed to it going the other way either. Like, with what Todd Pappy said, no, 100% safe area. It's like 90-10, that sort of thing. I don't know what 90-10 looks like. 90%, safe, 10% dangerous.
Right?
Like, it could be anything. I hope, though, that if they do go down that route, that it's, like, really punishing for failure. Like, I'm okay with being, like, failure having a high, punishment behind it if the reward matches that or exceeds that. Like, if pulling it off is worth putting all that effort in, then we'll give it a crack. But we won't, like, it won't be one of those things where, like, we're just going off on a whim. Like, it should be one of those things that requires time, effort, planning, organization. It shouldn't be something where some, dickhead can just jump in their fucking Aurora and go, haha, I'm going to go bloody ruin Mike's yoga stream that he's doing on the fucking Terrace of Terror.
Some people do that, though, unfortunately. And some people do that to those people who are just trying to chill. Like, I totally understand where hate for me comes from, because I'm an asshole. But some people aren't, and they're just trying to chill out, and even those people get targeted because of the more positive views they have about the game or whatever.
Yeah,
so
and
it's a weird one.
yeah, at the end of the day, we're still at the mercy of what CIG is going to put into Star Citizen.
100%.
And, like, people can kick and scream all they want that the game's going to be this or that, but, like, CIG can flip-flop on things. Look at the Valk. It wasn't going to have cargo in it. They were like, no, that's only for vehicles. Enough, community backlash came about. It got, the capability of carrying cargo. Sometimes, they'll listen to the voice of the community. Other times they won't.
Yeah.
It really is what they want it to be. And I'm personally not bothered by this, polarization that you see on either side of the community. Like, we experience it on the regular, where players, people call PvP players toxic, and I have a library of bloody, images that I can provide from screenshots of chat where we can just sit there and go, like, these are all supposed PvE players, and this is all the stuff that they've said to us. And at the end of the day, like, one of the things about this game, I never classify players as PvP or PvE. Like, we're just playing like a video game.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you may have a preference for what you want to do, but it doesn't, like, you're playing a video game. You're just a player. You're just another person. And personally, like, we get asked this question quite a bit about doing piracy in Star Citizen, and if, would you pirate more PvE targets once they get introduced? And my response is the same every single time. I don't care if it's a NPC or a player. If they've got booty, I'm going to take it.
Yeah.
Like, that's just the way it is.
Yeah, I'm glad you came on, because we've had a couple more PKers rather than PvPers or pirates on the show so far today. And yeah, I mean, that's an important representation to have on here. I wish we had more people that were of the I'm not interested in any PvP at all kind of members, to just hear their side. I'm trying as best I can to communicate what their side might be, but I also don't fully sit on their side. And it's hard, but I think you're right. We're all just playing a game, and I think the important thing about Star Citizen is the game wants to allow you to play it the way you want to, and sometimes that means that you guys are going to intersect.
Yeah.
And sometimes you're not going to be happy, and then sometimes, you and I are going to intersect, and I think both sides were pretty happy with that interaction. I think that was a lot of fun.
Well, the second time was a lot more fun than the first.
Well, the first time was not very fun. There were some bugs, and there was miscommunication. It was a mess, and there was some drama between us. But the second time, it was more how it should have played out the first time.
Yeah, and that's probably the most important thing that people need to try and keep in mind when they're playing, this game, is like, try and make the interaction, more fun for yourself. I know for a fact that there are people out there that take pleasure in denying us, the prize that we're seeking from them. They'll self-destruct their ship, they'll fight back, them bedlogging, them Alt F4ing out of the game and their ship disappearing in front of us. They've taken that little bit of pleasure out of, denying us that. We play the game that's in front of us. That's what I always tell the guys. Like, we play the game that's sitting in front of us right now, because if we take it too seriously and we sit there and we get too wound up about it, all we're going to do is just, like, ruin the game for ourselves. So yeah, it sucks. Yeah, it sucks that they did that. But at the same time, one day, hopefully CIG fixes that and that's no longer a thing. And then we can board their ship and we can take their stuff. It's interesting with them introducing the looting system. Like, a lot of people are sitting there going, "I don't want that full loot game," and all that
How
sort of stuff as
excited are
well.
you?
Oh, mate, it's I'm on two sides of the story here because, like, myself as the org leader, I look at things not only from, like, we get more piracy content, we get more things that we can take from people, but I'm also from the side where it's like we have to, like, logistics is a thing.
Yeah.
We have to take care of our own logistics, and in the fully realized vision, everything's supposed to be harder for us to get, more expensive, or like more difficult to maintain because like getting hold of things from a criminal perspective is supposed to be hard. And so that means that we're spending more money on the same things that a miner may pay less for. We're still excited for it. Like, it's like it adds an extra element. At the same time, though, like, there's a lot of answers that we want in regards to what's going on with this loot system, because we look at this and Moise was bringing up a point in regards to something that was said in the ISC in regards to you only lose your stuff if you, like, opt out of being revived, and he's not wrong. That's what they say in the video. But they never clarify either. They never say that, like, on death, you still lose your stuff. Like, even if you bleed out or whatever, like, you can't, like, if the player decides to finish it off, like, they never say that you can take that stuff. I'd like to think that it's implied. But once again, like, CIG's communication can always be a bit iffy and left open to interpretation, and everybody's kind of like hanging on their words when it comes to looking for, information. Myself personally, I'm just going to go with the implied notion that, like, if I decide to finish someone off, I'm going to be able to take this stuff regardless. Because you think about it from the perspective of NPCs, why would they create a system where, like, you finish off an NPC, they're not going to disappear and you're going to be able to keep their loot. So why would it be different for players?
Exactly. It's just them needing it. I maybe just made the assumption that you die and, like, didn't even listen because I just assumed. But yeah, I'll have to rewatch it again.
Yeah.
And see,
but
and then
that's the thing. A lot of
certainly ask the
players are
question.
hanging off those words there that
Yeah.
CIG says at times, especially for something like this. In regards to, like, looting players and things like that, I honestly think a lot of people are just going to be running around in frog suits with their pistol, and they're not going to run around with their expensive gear, because in any survival game,
That's what
like,
happens.
like you got Ark Survival Evolved, Rust, bloody Atlas, DayZ, anything like that. Don't take things with you that you can't afford to lose. Becomes, one of the most important things. And this is where I was talking about the whole piracy logistics side of things, and being concerned about, like, how much shit do we actually take with us when we're going out to do a pirate hit? Because hitting a cargo hauler can be different to hitting a rock miner. You may need different equipment, different distances that you're covering. So you can't always just have the one size fits all. And you got to store that on a ship now. And, like, we look at it from the perspective, everybody sits there and goes, "Oh, you show up with, like, 6 ships and, everything's going off, and, it's 6v1. And it's like, well, we do that because a lot of that equipment there is required just to have the effect that we're looking for. But at the same time, what happens when, the counter, the counter escort shows up and they're there to stop us from being able to pirate SaltEMike while he's there mining? When, Mike's reinforcements come in and they blow us all up. All
What
the, stuff that we got. Well, like,
Yeah, maybe
the
one
next
day.
time, the next time, the next time.
Yeah.
Like, all of that happening and everybody showing up, and, we end up in this battle and we're losing equipment. We don't get anything if we fail a hit. We don't get anything out of it. If we fail a hit, we lose equipment, we lose money, and then we got to recuperate all of that.
Yeah, definitely.
Once again, those who are able to, those who defeat us get what we had.
Yep.
So they get to loot us, and that's one of the things that people kind of need to understand, that that's the type of system that CIG wants to create. Like, they making meaningful choices is what CIG has been trying to push for more, and Death of a Spaceman is supposed to create that. Now, a lot of players out there are just like, I'm just going to circumvent Death of the Spaceman. I don't care about that. I'll die 1,000 times over. My heir is just going to be the next one in line. It will be Agents Lady the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, whatever.
We'll see.
At the end of the
we'll
day,
see how much reputation ties into that. Again, it's another one of those up in the air things. And yeah, we'll have to see.
Yeah. At the end of the day, mate, like people will always invest what they want into this game. You know, like how much time, effort, you know, of themselves, their mentality, and all of that sort of thing. And we're just gonna see that all the time. Myself personally, I just, you know, grab the popcorn and shovel it down by the handful whilst watching Spectrum catch on fire when CIG introduces those new controversial mechanics. But that's just me.
Yeah, I'm with you there too. It's just if we can spur up the conversation and have as many voices from as many different parts of the community share their thoughts about what they think would be fun and not fun, I think is the most important thing. And I don't know. I think this is probably a good place to stop, and I think we achieved that to the best of our abilities today. I don't cultivate the type of community that is going to be the Second Life type, and the type that is looking for meaningful relationships in Star Citizen and community and that much as much as I'd like. But it's just that's never going to happen here, because what I focus on is trying to insert as many game mechanics into this game as possible, because that's what I find fun, and that's what I was hoping was going to be in Star Citizen. But yeah, I think we hit as many of those elements as we could, and there are more than two sides to this community, in general. But the way the community has been treating itself lately is, I haven't enjoyed to see it, and I thought it was a good time to have a show like this. So, yeah. But all right, agents, I guess we'll let you go. I appreciate your call as always, and I'm looking forward to our next meeting. And it should be way more interesting and way more. It should play out the way it should, right? Looting a body. I'm so excited for you guys.
Right. Just remember the railgun.
I'll never forget.
All right, thanks for having us on, Mike.
Later, buddy.
Catch up.
Bye now. All right, guys. That'll do it, I guess, for today's show. So it was a long one. 2.5 hours. I'm glad we started it early. I'm going to be able to get into the shower and eat lunch with my family today. So very excited. I haven't seen my in-laws in a while. So very excited about it. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Saying a lot, but I'm also very, very tired. Yeah, so if you are watching this on Twitch, we started it early today, so you may not have caught all of the show. Again, I started this at the beginning saying that normally our start time was 40 minutes ago, and we've been doing it a lot earlier lately because of just real life things, commitments and stuff. And if you're watching on YouTube, you can take part in the show if you'd like. I think the best place to go to is the Discord, discord.gg/SaltEMike, or twitch.tv/SaltEMike on Sunday mornings when Eastern time. And you can pop in and share your opinions as well. There are no stupid opinions. I may not agree with you. I may challenge you. But everybody's voice matters in this game. And there's nothing I want more than the people who overwhelmingly disagree with me, or people who are on completely different sides of the Star Citizen spectrum from me. And I'd love to hear what you think. There's nothing more that I wanted than that on this show. And if you're out there, I still want to hear from you. So thank you so much for watching. If you're watching on YouTube, leave a like, comment, subscribe. If you're watching on Twitch, hit the follow button for more of these shows. And yeah, there's all sorts of ways to financially support the channel. Twitch is obviously subscribing. YouTube, you can hit the join button. Blah, blah, blah. Thank you for watching, guys. I'm going to end it here, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye, everybody.